I was living in an apartment building when I started working late nights in the office tower across the street, and so I got really familiar with the routes between the two buildings. One of them was taking the elevator. It was much faster than walking the stairwell, and just felt more luxurious after a long day. So I rode it all the time. That night, I finished up later than usual, and I was alone in the elevator going down. I pressed the button for my floor, and we started dropping, but something seemed off. The elevator skipped a few floors, and then the display showed me landing on the basement 3 level, which was weird because I was going up. At that point, I assumed something was wrong with the elevator, and I just decided to get off and take the stairs from there. And when the doors opened, instead of the brightly lit lobby, I saw what looked like a hallway in the basement. It was dim and lit by a flickering fluorescent light overhead. I don't remember if the elevator was still running or if the power had cut out, because it was completely silent. There wasn't even the hum you normally hear from the motor, and it was like the shaft was sucking the sound right out of the space. And that's when I noticed the walls. They were covered in old peeling paint and spotted with mildew, and there weren't any signs or exit numbers anywhere. I could have been anywhere, and since the power must have been off for a while, I could feel how cold the concrete walls were under my fingertips. I tried the nearest door, but it was locked, which made sense because this didn't look like a regular part of the building. There was something about this place that felt fundamentally wrong. It felt like if anyone found me here, they would immediately know I had no business being here. And it was at that moment that I knew whatever this place was, I needed to get away from it fast. So I turned around and stepped back into the elevator. As I did, the doors stayed open a beat longer than usual before closing and starting to rise. I wasn't sure if I should ride it back up or get out and find the stairs, but in the end, I pressed the button for my floor. But as soon as I did, the doors opened again. And this time I hesitated. I wanted to go up, but there was something pulling me towards the basement. Like the hallway had a magnetic effect on me, and after a few seconds of standing there, I stepped out into it again. It was only when I took another step that I realized my mistake. The hallway stretched on forever. From where I was, I couldn't see the end. And as I moved forward, it seemed to stretch and grow longer instead of getting closer to the end. And as I walked, the ceiling got lower. It was like the hallway was sinking into the earth. At some point, I started hearing footsteps. They sounded like someone walking slowly, directly behind me, but when I turned around, there was no one there. And the louder the sound got, the more I realized how little noise I had been making myself. Every footfall was loud and heavy in the silence of the shaft. And the more I thought about it, the more I was certain I wasn't alone. I continued walking until I saw a door at the end. It looked like the other ones I had seen earlier, but this one was different. The edges of the door frame were slightly burnt, and the door itself was a little ajar. There was a very faint light coming through the crack. And although it barely registered in my mind at the time, it meant the door was unlocked. As I approached the door, I hesitated, not sure if I should try it. But that's when the elevator doors behind me slammed shut. Startled, I spun around and saw the doors were reflecting the light from the hallway. Someone had entered the shaft, but since there was no way to see where they were, I couldn't tell if they were on the same floor as me. When I turned back to the door, I could hear the elevator rising above me, and the footsteps behind me grew louder. My heart was pounding, and I don't think I've ever run as fast as I did then. I threw open the door and squeezed through, slamming it behind me. Whatever was in that hallway was close behind me. I didn't have time to think, so I just ran down the stairs. I don't remember much of the rest, only that I could hear heavy footsteps on the stairs behind me. I reached the bottom and ran out of the building. I remember pressing the elevator button over and over again, desperately trying to make it open, but it wouldn't budge. Finally, I heard the hum of the motor kicking in. The door slid open and I jumped inside, pressing every button on the panel. The display flickered and then reset to show me landing on my floor. And in what felt like an instant, the doors opened and I practically fell out of them and onto the sidewalk. It was only then that I stopped to think. Whatever that place was, I never wanted to go back. I checked the building plans the next morning, and there's no record of that floor ever existing. If you want to hear another creepypasta, click here. And if you want to submit your own story, click here. Thanks for watching.